Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Sarah if you haven't been here before. Today's video is a little bit different because I'm going to talk about my bullet journal for 2021. I was using this journal before. This is the Leuchtturm 1917 journal, and I used this in 2019 and 2020 because honestly I didn't really use it that much. I have had a bullet journal in the past, but when I was using it in the last 2 years, I wasn't really utilizing it as a bullet journal where I did it with like a planner and everything in it, just because I have use different systems with work that make more sense to me to put in like all of my daily activities versus having them in a bullet journal. Some things that I used it for instead was a spread like this where I was tracking my steps. And then this was in November, so this was recent. And this was kind of a part of me trying to come back to using the bullet journal. So something else I did was no spend November and December, and I made this tracker for my savings because I had a goal to save $10,000. I did go ahead and mark on here that I moved to a new planner, so this was how much I saved until I moved to the new planner and I set up a new tracker in there. I did go ahead and do some brainstorming about goals in this journal. So I kind of had a little, what is this called? I don't know, but I did a brainstorming on what my goals I wanted to look at were. So I just kind of put ideas. So movement, so kind of like exercise, creativity, learning, family, house, decluttering areas of my home, being organized, owning less, sorting and tracking my clothing in and out, tracking my cosmetics in and out with ratings, reading 90 books and tracking that, and then saving $30,000. And I also just kind of talked about in here, the last time that I wrote out goals was really the beginning of 2019, and I was doing a 12-week system back then. And in 2020, I didn't really write down my goals at any point. So when we're looking at goals, they should be the SMART goals, right? Specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. So that's what you hear about, right? But I also think it was useful to go back and look at what my goals were in 2019 and think about why I didn't reach some of them. And part of that for me was the load of each goal that I wanted to achieve. So some of the goals were really easy for me. I've been seeing some information out there recently about like habit goals versus achievement goals. And I think for me, it was a little bit hard with the amount of each of those that I had and that they weren't really goals that were attainable. So I was trying to break down my year-long goals into quarterly updates, and my quarter goal was just, it was too much. I also made a note that you should have your goals be for you, not to fit somebody else's thoughts about you. And I put in a little quote here: in between goals is a thing called life that has to be lived and enjoyed. And then I talked about in here, like, what's my monthly goal, my action steps, and reflection. Did I reach the goal? Did I not reach the goal? Why? What was my effort? Can I rate my effort toward my goal and my next steps? So that was my brainstorming about my goals for next year. So if we come over into my new bullet journal, I've got this lovely first page, and I actually had somebody at work who doodled this for me because I get that fear about writing on the first page, and so I gave that to somebody else, and I highly recommend if you have that same fear, trying to find somebody else to do it for you. And I went ahead and made a year-long calendar / future log. I started putting in some of the holidays that I have that apply for me at work, but I didn't complete the whole year. I just put in some. I have a birthdays page. I did it differently from before, where I just had a list. So here you can see this was my fear of messing up the page. So like I was like, oh, I'll come back and make it fun later, but I never did. So I just had a birthdays list. And then I had a future log that I didn't put anything in. And this was my goal setting where you can see a lot of zeros here. So for my new bullet journal, I did this fun page for birthdays with the balloons, each one being a month. And here is my books page. I really like tracking my books in my bullet journal. I also have a Goodreads account, but I enjoy having this as well. And I actually have finished a book, so I need to come in and add that here. I'm hoping to read 90 books this year, as I mentioned. So I think I'll need 3 pages for tracking just the titles just on one line. And then I put a brain dump page so that I can have a brain dump page there. This is my savings tracker. So this is my new savings tracker that's replacing my one to get to 10K. So I plan to make a little bit thicker of a line. I need to come in and see where the $10,000 mark would be from my last tracker, because I still want to know when I hit that goal. So I'm going to just make one of the lines thicker at the end of whatever one it is. So like if it were this one, I would make this line thicker. And each of these little squares or rectangles really is going to be $100. So when I am saving money, I want to be tracking that. And I think this is more than my yearly goal. So we'll see how far I get on that. I'm not sure exactly how many squares there are. Here, I haven't filled it in yet, but I want to do a yearly expense tracking page where I have the months and I go in and write how much I spent on all these things per month. I'm starting to get really more focused on my budgeting, and I think that this will be a good way for me to keep track over the year. So then we get to January. So I did a pretty simple January page, but I still like it. I like how it looks. And then I put in here a word of the year. I put focus. I have been doing the Artist's Way morning pages, and on one of my days, this came up, the word focus. Not that I was talking about word of the year, but it's something I was writing about. I don't even remember exactly, and I wanted to make it my word of the year. So then in January, I have my monthly goals. I originally had little post-its here. I saw something with that online and I liked it, and then I was like, oh, I just want to write them. So I outlined them with my 2 Tombow pens. I have 873 is this orangey color and 491 is this really light blue. I had a 6th one here and I can't remember what it was, but I took it out and I don't know what I'm gonna put there yet. Maybe I'll just write a reward for myself. If I reach all my goals, I'll put a reward there. We'll see. I mean, that's something useful to keep in mind when you're goal setting is, perhaps but maybe you know that exercising is good for you, right? But obviously, if you're making a goal to exercise, you probably are not exercising. So the first thing to think about is setting a reasonable amount. So if you really aren't exercising at all, you probably don't want to make a goal to exercise every day because you're not going to achieve that. So, going back to those SMART goals, making a goal you can actually achieve and then rewarding yourself for doing it. If it's something like exercise, you probably shouldn't reward yourself with a cake, but you could reward yourself with a new pair of workout shorts or watching a new show on Netflix or buying a new book for yourself. It doesn't have to be something big, but it should be something that is motivating for you, and just don't give it to yourself unless you reach that goal. So the next page that I have in here is my January budget. So I went ahead and I put in here the starting and ending for my accounts. I do use the Mint app and enjoy that, but I wanted to also be writing it down in my bullet journal so I can really keep a close eye on that. And then I have just my different categories. I have mortgage, parking, internet, phone, storage, car insurance, food, gas, pets, and then I have personal/hobbies and savings. So that's my budgeting. I have a goal for the month to save $2,500, so I'll update you on that. And this doesn't have a header or anything, but this is just my tracking of all of my skincare products. So I am currently posting about this on my Instagram, and I go back and look at those pictures often. I do like a New Year stash challenge and a mid-year stash challenge. I have been for a few years now. But I have a lot and I want to use things up. I set my personal / hobbies budget to be $390 for the month, and that included about $275 for a 6-month subscription to Beauty Heroes, where I get a product or two every month, but it's a very low budget for anything else that I want. That includes books, anything for hobbies, clothing, makeup, anything that's just a random thing for myself. So I'm trying really hard not to buy new skincare pretty much at all. And a part of that is being really aware of what I have. So I do have in my old bullet journal, I have my skincare numbers, but I wanted to actually write out every single product I had to be just even more aware of it. So this was July or August, I had 342 things. My last update in October, I had 330, and I'm currently counting up right now. So far it's less, but I haven't counted up my sheet masks, eye products. Yeah, so those 2 categories I still have to count. And this, I'm literally writing out the name of every product I have, just to remind myself that I don't need new things. And this also helps me keep track of things to rate them, and when I'm using them up, I can mark that in here as well. I didn't add in expiration dates for things, which I might, maybe for sunscreens. I haven't written those in yet. And this was my journal, came unfortunately with 2 pages stuck together. Based on what I had, I thought I was going to use up all of these pages for my skincare, but I might not. So there might be, I think I just have sunscreen still to fill in, and I think I was also counting sheet masks, which I'm not probably going to write every sheet mask. So I might end up using both of these pages, and maybe this spread will be something else. And then here is a journaling page spread that I did, just reflecting back on 2020. And then we come up to my actual weekly pages. Since I still use Google Calendar pretty much for all of my tracking of meetings and everything like that, I get notifications for them on my Apple Watch and my phone and my computer. It didn't really make sense to me to write them all in here as like a weekly calendar, but I do have a to-do list in here, and this is something I transferred from my other journal. It's just a list of patterns that I was interested in. So I might turn that into a spread, but for now it's on a little sticky note. So that is all my spreads so far in my 2020 bullet journal. So my last thing to talk about is this sticky note. So this is my goals for the year. So I need to add them in here somewhere probably. I think I was gonna put it here, but then I ended up putting a word of the year there. So I'm not sure where this is gonna go yet, but this is what I am thinking about for my goals of the year. So I wanna read 90 books. I read 90 books in 2019. Last year I only read 81, even though my goal was 100. So with the pandemic and everything, it was just really hard for me to read as much as I would have liked to. So I'm making my goal 90 because I know I've done it before, and I was pretty close this last year. I was about 10% off from 90. So that's my goal. I think it's reasonable, and I'm moving forward with that. I have saved $30,000. This I feel like is a stretch goal for me, but it's one that I want to stretch towards. So that's my money goal. I have a goal about writing and posting online. So this is why this is still on a sticky note and not in the journal yet, is because those are very not defined. So I want to define those better. And part of writing is that Artist's Way that I'm reading currently, and then posting online I want to be consistent with that again. I have been in the past, and last year was just hard for me. I want to exercise. I'm thinking about making a spread for exercise. I don't know. I haven't made it yet, so we'll see. And then reducing makeup and skincare, I need to kind of sit down once I finish my inventory and look at like what makes sense to be reasonable numbers. And part of that is going through my empties from last year, watching those videos or like looking at those videos and seeing how much I used up. I'm thinking about doing a realtor's course, and then I always kind of have on here something about OBM. I probably need to either define that or take it off. And then I think I need to write somewhere how many squares are down and across. So I have that on here so that I can put it somewhere eventually. So that is my bullet journal for 2021. Here is my little preferred items. I love this pen. This is the Pilot G2 in 0.38. It's like the ultra fine, so that's one of my favorites. And I love these journals. Thanks for watching. Bye.